So this video is going to be a little bit of 3.1 and then also 3.2. So first we're going to talk about what a system is. So I'm going to solve both of these two equations. So it says y equals. So both of these two equations are y equals. Now I'm going to graph both of these two equations on this graph right over here. So again, knowing that my y-intercept is up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. My slope is positive 3 and then over 2. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm going to put lots of dots, or I could go down 3 to the left 2, down 3 to the left 2. So that's this first graph right here. Now, the second graph, I'm going down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and my slope is either up 1 to the right 2, or else I can go down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2, or up 1 to the right 2. So this right here is called a system of equations. And when you have a system of equations, you can graph the 2 points, and then the answer to the system of equations are wherever they overlap, meaning the point that is for both graphs. So this point right here would be -8, -8. So my answer, if I were to solve this system of equations by graphing, my answer would be -8, -8, because that's the point where both of these two graph. However, I wanted to show you so that you know what a system of equations is and what we're trying to find. People often use system of equations when you're trying to figure out the maximum value of something, a lot of times in marketing, or the minimum cost for something. And we will get into that by the end of this chapter. But we're going to focus more on 3.2. So we have two ways that we can solve these, and this will be getting difficult. The first way is by substitution, and I will go more slowly in class 2, so you can ask questions then, but make sure you write all this down. So this equation right here, because there's no coefficient, I'm going to solve this equation for y. So I'm going to subtract 2x. So this is my new equation for the second one. Once you have this value of y, and I plug it into my other equation, I'm going to plug that into my other equation. So 3x plus 4 times y, so that's this, is equal to 12. I distribute my 4, so this becomes a minus 8x plus 40, that's a minus. It's equal to 12. This is negative 5x. I'm going to subtract this 40. And right here, if you're like, I have no idea where you're getting this, Mrs. Rickman, this is 28. And then divide by negative 5. This is your pre-algebra skills working. And my pre-algebra skills are just working faster. Now x is equal to 28 fifths. I can use this now to plug back into this equation. So y is going to be equal to -2. We know x is equal to 28 fifths plus 10. I would not want to do this in my head. I want to do this in my calculator. So I'm going to have -2, make sure you push the negative button, parenthesis 28 divided by 5, parenthesis plus 10. I'm going to change that into a fraction, so I'm going into math, enter, enter, so -6 fifths. When you write this as a final answer, you want to make sure 28 fifths and -6 fifths as an ordered pair, because this is a spot, if I were to graph both of these two lines, this is a spot that they cross each other. Now we're going to work on this together, but I want you to try to do it yourself. So first thing I want you to do is try to get this x by itself. So pause the video, try to get the x by itself. Here, to get the x by itself, I have to subtract my 3y. Why did I choose this x? Because there's no number out in front, so it's going to make it easier. Now pause the video and try to plug it into this spot right here and solve for y. You would be solving for y because you're plugging it in right here. And now solve for y. First, you distribute the -2 to the -3 and the 5. I can combine these two like terms. This becomes a 2y. I'm going to add over this 10 also. So this becomes a 5. Now I can divide because the opposite of multiplying and dividing. So y is equal to 5/2. Now I want you to pause the video, plug this back into your x value to see if you get that y value. If you plug that into your equation or your calculator, you should get -5/2. So when I write this, the x value always has to come first. It is not what value solved for first, it's whatever the x value is comes first, because again, that's an ordered pair. If I were to graph these two lines, just like I showed you at the beginning, this is what I would get. And the last two, now by elimination. Elimination is a little bit easier because I will say I will prefer it. The first thing you want to do is try to get your two variables, either the two x's or the two y's, so that they're the same but opposite. This is easier because these y's are already the same but opposite. So once they're the same but opposite, you can add those two equations together. So now this will become 3x. This becomes plus 0y. When I add these together, I get 12. So really, when I have a 0y, that is completely gone. Now I can divide by 3 on both sides, and x would be equal to 4. Once you have one value, you can plug it back in. It doesn't matter to which. I'm going to plug it back into the first. Really, there's no reason, just because. So this becomes a negative 8 plus 8y is equal to negative 8. I'm going to add 8 on both sides. So I have 8y is equal to 0. Now this is a spot people might say it's no solution. No, 0 is a number 2, guys. So 0 divided by 8 is still going to be 0. So when I write this answer out, I get 4, 0. So now this one's not as easy because this one is not given to you where they're already opposite. So now we have to figure out what numbers to multiply both equations by so that they would be opposite. I'm going to multiply this top equation by negative 5, and I'm going to multiply this bottom equation by 7. When you multiply the whole equation, you're not actually changing anything. So when I multiply this top one, I get negative 10x minus 35y is equal to negative 20. When I multiply this bottom one, 7 times 13 is going to give me 91x plus 35y is equal to negative 35. I want you to try to add these two equations together and solve for that variable. So pause the video, add the two equations together and solve. So when I add these two together, I get 81x. This gives me plus 0y, and this will give me a negative 55. So 81x is equal to negative 55. So x is going to be equal to negative 55 over 81. Not a very nice number. I'm going to plug it back into this equation right here. So 2 times negative 55 over 81 plus 7y is equal to 4. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it on my calculator as well as. So 2 times negative, I'm going to put this in parentheses, negative 55 divided by 81. I'm going to change that to a fraction. So this is negative 110 over 81 plus 7y is equal to 4. Now this is negative, so to move it to the other side, I'm going to have 4 and I'm going to add 110 divided by 81. That's the same thing as putting it in as a fraction. I'm going to change that to a fraction. I'm going to add this over, plus 110 over 81. So 7y is equal to 434 over 81. And now I'm going to take that number and divide by 7. So I get 62 over 81. Y is equal to 62 over 81. Mrs. Frickman, why did you choose such a terrible equation? I didn't realize this one was so terrible. But this was our x value, this was our y value. And I don't know, maybe I did some math. Tell me if I did some math wrong. And then finally, we have two special cases. Now I'm going to do both of these by elimination because if I look, these are already opposite each other, and these actually are already opposite each other. So this would become 0x plus 0y is equal to 0. Well, when I look at that then, because 5 and negative 5 add up to 0, this is 0 equals 0. And in this case, this is a true statement. If you get true statement, this is infinite solutions. So if everything cancels, you get infinite solutions. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do elimination, so I'm going to add. Oh, this becomes 0x. This becomes 0y. This becomes 16. So now I have 0 is equal to 16. This is a false statement. So if you have a false statement, you have a no solution, meaning that if you have a false statement, if I were to graph this, probably means that you are going to have two parallel lines. And if you have two parallel lines, they will never, ever, ever touch each other. So that's how this can happen. If you have infinite solutions, that means if you set that equal to y, you have two lines that are on top of each other. So it's actually the exact same equation. So that's why you have infinite solutions. And there you have it. Starting off with chapter 3, Have a great day.